Hey, good morning, Rob.
How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Hey, I want to first of all thank the new subscribers out there that subscribed to our channel either yesterday, last night, whenever. Anyway, wow. Fed did what they said they were going to do. They raised it up 50 basis points, and now we're looking at like what, 500, 600 points down this morning.
Almost 2%, yeah.
And that's expected. That's expected, and I'm telling you, this is going to be a end of a choppy year.
Well, a lot of a lot of investors, a lot of the bulls, they were very optimistic and anticipating to hear yesterday during the meeting that the Fed was going to pivot, lead us to a soft landing. But in fact, Jerome Powell said he has no plans. Yeah, he has no plans to pivot. In fact,
people are going to be losing their jobs.
First quarter of
That's a recession.
First quarter of 2023, they're expecting a 0.75% rate hike. So looks bad.
Jeez Louise.
Yep.
You know what else looks bad is that we've been talking about China and Saudi Arabia and the petrodollars, right? So the Chinese President Xi Jinping actually attended, and this is what I've been talking about, the China Summit for Cooperation and Development Summit. And China actually signed several memorandums of understanding and more than 40 new energy, security, technology, and bilateral investment agreements with Saudi Arabia and other Arab Gulf states that totaled more than $50 billion. And the new details, these new deals, will actually increase the Saudi-China trade to nearly $140 billion annually compared to the $24.7 billion of the Saudi-U.S. trade.
Wow. That's almost 4 times more.
And China and Saudi Arabia, they actually agreed to have these meetings between these heads of state to discuss further shared interests. I'm telling you, I see the writing on the wall. They're literally, it's almost like it's a coup to take down the dollar.
100%.
100%. And Saudi Arabia's press release highlights actually there are 18 specific areas of cooperation. And the areas of cooperation include expanding energy, food, security, technology, and commitments to each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And the press release referenced President Xi Jinping's speech supporting a two-state solution in Israel and Arab support for the one China country policy relating to Taiwan. And these Arab states firmly support the one China principle and support China in safeguarding its core interest. And likewise, China supports these Arab states in upholding sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. And on issues such as the Palestinian question, China's firm support for Arab states has been consistent and unwavering, and the countries agreed to synergize China's Belt and Road Initiative and Saudi Arabia's vision for 2030. So during the Chinese President Xi's speech on Friday of last week, he stated that he would like to buy oil and gas in the Chinese dollars. And he stated that China would use the Shanghai Petroleum and National Gas Exchange as a platform to carry out the Chinese dollar settlement of oil and gas trade. And in March 2022, China and Saudi Arabia began negotiations for China's oil to settle in these Chinese dollars concerning concerning the Saudi Arabia's abandoning the petrodollar for the Chinese dollar. And these Saudi officials actually told Reuters this before the summit, and it's not yet the right time. So why would Saudi Arabia use the phrase not yet, to answer exchanging the petrodollar for Chinese dollars? That's the question here. Yeah, let me have that water. Boy, oh boy. Oh no, I think that rocket fuel flogged me. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. No? Nah, I was doing a lot of projects for today. Anyway, so Saudi Arabia still has the substantial dollar-denominated assets, including 121 billion in U.S. Treasuries and 600 billion in U.S. stock market.
Hold on. They own a massive share.
Yeah.
Of stock.
Yeah. And in 2020, Saudi Arabia held 184.4 billion in U.S. Treasuries, and 2 years later, Saudi Arabia has reduced its Treasury holdings by 34.4% to $121 billion.
Wow.
And now Saudi Arabia is systematically de-dollarizing their economy and reducing these Treasury holdings. And Saudi Arabia knows how vital that the petrodollar agreement is for their investments. So the Saudis want to retain $700 billion and secure trade with China. So they want the cake and they want to eat it too, is basically what they want. And they have to be careful not to move too quickly. And accepting these Chinese dollars prematurely would put their $700 billion at risk. So what does that say about the importance of the petrodollar agreement for the value of the dollar-denominated assets? Yeah, exactly that. So in politics, the words not said are often as crucial as they're spoken. And the Saudi statement was uncommonly forthright for a political reason to a news outlet. And despite the strained U.S.-Saudi relations right now, one still expects a political world salad. You know, there's still a lot out there. And a word salad like Saudi Arabia values are all, I'm doing word salad right now, are all of trading partners and looks to bring the best solution to all parties. And our long-standing relationship with the United States will continue to endure as we grow our relationship with China. And instead, we have this not yet right time coming from them. So the phrase not yet implies not now, but coming soon. And the president of China, he signs new agreements worth more than double the U.S.-Saudi trade. And he openly calls for an economic overhaul of the petrodollar system. So the response of the Saudis is not yet, and Saudi Arabia has formally applied now to join the BRICS nations. So Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, said to President Jinping that he appreciates China supporting Saudi Arabia's communication efforts with the BRICS and the G20. And the BRICS nations now are openly trying to compete and overthrow the dollar dominance, and this is why MBS thanks President Jinping, and there isn't any doubt at all that the economic and the energy ties between Saudi Arabia and China are going to grow substantially. So why would Saudi Arabia, do you think, seek military support from China if it trusted the U.S. to protect it? Have any idea?
Well, I mean, it's clear. I mean, they don't trust the U.S.
No, that was obvious.
Yeah.
So more than the economic agreements, the security agreements may be the loudest warning for your portfolio. And in October, OPEC denied White House requests to stall oil production slowdowns until after the elections. And then the U.S.-Saudi relations suffered strain after President Biden promised consequences for Saudi Arabia in response to the denial. And within a week, China and Saudi Arabia released a joint statement reaffirming their commitment to the oil trader stability. And a week later, Saudi Arabia lowered the oil price for Asia while raising it in Europe. What does that tell you?
Yeah, they're breaking away from the U.S.
Totally. And at the time, MBS said that China was Saudi Arabia's primary economic partner and that the U.S. was their military partner. And in the petrodollar agreement, the U.S. promised to provide military support, and Saudi Arabia would keep the oil trade in dollars. And 6 weeks later, China and Saudi Arabia now are signing military agreements. So it looks like China is literally wanting to take away the military side of it that the United States is holding too. Very, very competitive here right now. They're all vying for this power is what's actually happening. And these military agreements are the realm of the U.S. and Saudi relationship. And China now is wooing Saudi Arabia with the promise of military protection. In a marriage, this type of unfaithfulness would end in a divorce, right?
That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like it, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of some of the issues that we're seeing right now could have all been prevented. I mean, what was the first thing that Biden did when he got into office? He shut down the Keystone Pipeline and other pipelines, right?
Yeah, he put pressure on the Americans.
And now he's,
on us.
Now they're trying to negotiate with Saudi Arabia, right? China seems to have a lot more success with Saudi Arabia. There seems to be a lot more trust. It seems like they're basically increasing their revenue annually by 5 times from 24.5 bill to about 125 bill with China. I mean, it just really seems like when you talk about the dollar falling out in the East, it's so real. It's real.
It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
when
time.
is it going to happen? And like I've said, I think it's going to happen while we're asleep.
Yeah.
Asia's ahead of us a day, right?
Yeah.
So we wake up in the morning, we find out that the bottom of the dollar's dropped out over in Asia. Mm-hmm. And, I tell you, divorces are messy and very expensive. And what would the U.S. lose in a divorce?
Right.
And what would you lose?
Yeah.
Do you want to be holding dollars when Saudi Arabia officially files for divorce from the petrodollar? Mm-hmm. Think about that. Saudi Arabia doesn't want to be holding dollars when the petrodollar ends. Do you?
Right.
That's the question. Do you?
Right.
And that's why precious metals are an excellent idea, and I would think that you would have to agree on that. I know I do. And that's why you should give us a call at 800-753-8534, 800-753-8534, or even call me direct at 323-380-5485. Rob, you want to give your number again?
Yeah, 213-466-1283.
Folks, I got to tell you something. There are so many signs right now that this country, it pisses me off. I'll be honest with you. I really get mad when you see all the different things that are going on with our kids, with transgender and all these things that are out there. This is not hoax. This is not fake. This is really happening. And now we're seeing, since Title 42 is being dropped, we're seeing massive people at the borders getting ready to cross over the border. It's crazy. And not only on top of that, guess what? Those of you that can't afford insurance out there, guess what? If you are a migrant, an illegal alien, and you cross the border, you're going to get free insurance because that's what they're doing. They're giving them free insurance, giving them a cell phone, giving them insurance, putting them in a place to live. That's what they're doing.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ.
It's crazy. But you know what's interesting, Rob? You don't see them coming into our area.
In LA?
Yeah.
No.
Because they don't want them here.
No.
No, they send them over into the Republican areas. That's where they want them. No, it's crazy what they're doing.
That's right. You don't see too many.
You don't.
Yeah.
No.
That shit doesn't happen in San Diego or anything.
I don't see them here in Los Angeles. No. I really don't. All I see is a bunch of damn hyped up drug addict, needle throwing, homeless people on the street.
That's true. It's terrible.
Right?
Yeah.
And now you got this Karen Bass who, right there with Biden and Pelosi and that whole group. I mean,
I think Chris Towns has a great point on how we should run for mayor.
Yeah, I mean, there you go, Chris. It's crazy. But that's what they want.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. We do not see these people over here. We don't see them coming over in buses. If we did, we'd hear about it, right? You know they'd be doing, but you don't see any of this. No, they're secretly, and I give kudos to DeSantis and Abbott, these governors that are stepping up and sending them out of their place to another place, right? Yeah. No, it's crazy, and it's not going to get any better. In fact, I'll tell you what's really interesting, Rob. Forbes came out with something that just really shook me to the core. and listen, I'm not bad-mouthing COVID. I'm not doing anything like that, even though you know my thoughts on it because I got kicked off of YouTube, and then we got brought back on. But we were warned that we can't say anything. And what we do is we film this live here on Rumble now, and then we send the video over to YouTube, and then what YouTube does is they inspect it to make sure that we're not saying any mishmash. It's crazy.
I know. It's terrible.
In other words, we no longer have free speech anymore. Thank God for people like Musk, right? But I tell you what, they don't even want him speaking.
I know.
They're trying to figure out, I guarantee you, behind the books and everything, they're trying to figure out a way to shut him up, right? They're trying.
Who knows if they'll be successful at that?
Oh, God, I mean,
keep in mind he's not suicidal.
No, not at all. So listen to this. This will shake you too. So those who choose not to obtain a COVID vaccination. Now this isn't false news or anything. This actually is coming out by Forbes magazine. And there was a study that was published by the American Journal of Medicine. All right. So those who choose not to obtain a COVID vaccination may have to pay for it when it comes to their insurance renewal. Listen to this. So thanks to a new study that found that unvaccinated drivers were more than 70% more likely to get into a severe car crash than the average driver. This isn't made up.
That's a hoax.
No, this is coming out. Just listen. Let me talk about it. We don't want to get kicked off. So does this mean that the vaccinated are benefiting from the 5G superpowers after all? No. The study author says this is merely an example of people exhibiting multiple types of risky behavior. And this study that, again, was published by the American Journal of Medicine, this was earlier in December, evaluated the accident reports and the vaccination status of more than 11 million drivers in Ontario, Canada from 2021. And I just have to share it. During the period studied, 6,682 people were hospitalized following involvement in severe crashes. And of them, 75%, which is 5,000, were unvaccinated. And when evaluated against other known conditions, the magnitude of the estimated risk, 72%, was similar to the increase associated with sleep apnea, and less than that associated with alcohol misuse, and greater than that associated with diabetes. And they say that our data, I'd love for y'all to comment about this too. Right. Our data do not explore potential causes of vaccine hesitancy or risky driving, the study author says. One possibility relates to a distrust of government or belief in freedom that contributes to both vaccination preferences and increased traffic risk. And a different explanation, man, this just goes on. He says, in other words, skipping a vaccination doesn't actually make you more likely to crash your car. It just means that you're more likely to be the type of person who would have crashed it anyway. Which is why your auto insurance company might take an interest in your vaccination status, especially if you have other things going on against you, including a ticket history, points, or other factors such as a poor credit. Well, that ain't me. I got good credit, and I have a good driving record. And I'm pretty good there. So being expensive to insure doesn't mean a car is inherently unsafe. It often has just as much, if not more, to do with the type of driver that the car typically attracts. In actuarial science, every data point matters. So the author said that the study busts some other widely held misconceptions. So for starters, it shows that crashes disproportionately involve those in poverty. In other words, what they're saying is that if you don't get a vaccination, your insurance company can possibly raise your auto insurance rates because you're now a risk.
Yeah, what a load of trash. That's crazy.
Just another way of loading up your insurance.
Just know that, yeah, that and, forcing you to get back.
And speaking of insurance, Rob, remember in 2008 when AIG got bailed out?
Yeah.
So AIG subsidiary now files for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. No kidding. Yeah. December 14th, American International Group, that's AIG Insurance, said on Wednesday that its subsidiary, AIG Financial Products, you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Stocks, right?
Yeah.
Has actually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection to complete the wind down of a business unit that was a central figure in the 2008 financial crisis.
It's like staring right into the mirror.
Ooh-wee.
Wow.
And AIG Financial Products largely actually ceased operations in 2008, and its bankruptcy will not have, it says, a material impact on AIG or the life and retirement insurer, which is Core Bridge Financial, which AIG recently spun off, AIG said. It's interesting because, Rob, a lot of these, annuity companies, if you look at them, folks, and you really look at them, they're not corporations. They're LLCs. So what they do when they say about spinning off or spinning off, they sell. They sell your account to another group, and then that group buys the debt. You listening? Your debt. They buy it, and then now you're stuck with them. So AIG Financial Products issued these credit default swaps that actually put AIG on the hook for billions of dollars in losses during the collapse of the subprime mortgage markets, according to court documents that were filed in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Wilmington, Delaware. And Wilmington, Delaware, it's funny, they're incorporated in Delaware. AIG losses on the credit default swaps ultimately led to $182.3 billion in federal bailouts for the company which AIG repaid in 2012. And AIG's Financial Products has no ongoing operations or employees of its own, but it's maintained a small portfolio of financial products after largely shutting down in 2008. So it owes more than $37 billion to its parent company, AIG, on loans related to the 2008 crash, according to these court documents. So AIG now has already taken a loss on the $37 billion intercompany debt, according to court documents. So the bankruptcy now will allow AIG Financial Products to wind down its remaining portfolio and avoid the cost of defending lawsuits by employees whose deferred compensation programs were wiped out.
Oh, God. And just imagine you're an employee and you have
their retirement's gone.
You get wiped out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So AIG Financial Products prevailed in litigation that was brought by a group of London-based employees, but it faced another wave of litigation by plaintiffs based in Connecticut, according to these court documents. So, I got a guy that I was talking to yesterday. He may be listening to me right now or later. But I won't mention his name, but he's up there in the Midwest, and he has a deferred plan into the IRA to where he can back it with something that's physical like gold and silver or any other precious metals. But here's the issue. Just like this, you can just be wiped out overnight, right? Because there's no guarantee.
They can literally go into your account and just flip page like
That's right. Yeah.
Scary.
They totally can. I mean, you think about it. Like I said before, you get a piece of paper that says we owe you this amount of dollars, or this amount of money, and if they lose it, tough luck. It's just gone. You've lost it, right? Just like the market right now. What is it at right now? Let's just take a look. The market right now is down 277. Oh, I'm sorry, 601. That was 277 in the exchange. 600 points. So, that is gone. Now, in order for it to come back, you got to do that again tomorrow. So here's the thing. It's like digging in a hole. Once you start digging and you start digging that hole, if that hole doesn't get filled up, you just keep digging your way to China, right? And pretty soon that hole gets so big that it's impossible for you to get back out. And I think that's like what happened with the fraud man and all that too, right? They started taking all this money thinking that they were going to probably get some money somehow, some way, just like Madoff, right? And eventually they dug themselves so deep because they just kept taking and taking and taking from the investors that they had nothing to give back to the investors. And then they thought they could just file bankruptcy and be done with it like AIG's doing. But they're not AIG, right? They're not. So, this is why you want. What is this? Somebody just sent me something. Hold on, I got to see what this is. Somebody just commented something to me. Hold on. I'll tell you, Gal, here in a minute what she says here. So she's telling me breaking Supreme Court case could I can't even open this because the page is knocked down. It won't even allow me to open it because it could not establish a secure connection. What? I can't get a secure connection? That doesn't make sense. I'm getting it on with everything else. Anyway, somebody just sent me something. It says, breaking Supreme Court. See if you can find this, Rob. Breaking Supreme Court. Case could reinstate Trump immediately and remove Biden. You see that?
I'm trying to find that.
It's on Best News here. Somebody just sent this to me. Take a look at that. I want to see what that's all about. I honestly, I voted for Trump. But I think I think he needs to step down, step back, and let some fresh blood in there, young blood in there, and retire and have a nice life because he's made a lot of money. He needs to just chill and enjoy the rest of his life. You never know. Life can take you so fast. You can have a heart attack. Anything can happen, right? Did you find it, Rob? I don't even see this thing. Folks, there's a lot of crap out there. People will try. Let me see if I can pull it up on here. bestnewshere.com. I can't even open it on my own. That's a hoax. A person that sent that to me, Gail, if you can see that, that's a hoax. My computers will not even allow me to open it up. That means that it's like a phishing site or something's wrong with that site. So don't keep going in there. I know how you got to watch. There's a lot of hoaxes and a lot of scams out there. Don't fall for that stuff. That's not true. It's not true. Hey, I want to talk real quick, Rob, and this comes from King. Oops. Literally, my phone is listening to me and typing everything that I'm saying. That's kind of spooky, right? They turn that shit off. Let's get out of this. So, this comes from King World News, which they do a lot on the economy and gold. Yeah. So they shared something with my subscription yesterday with them, and it says what's happening in the housing market is just jaw-dropping. Well, we've been talking about this, but I'd like to share their views on this with you as well. And this came out December 14th, and Gerald Celente of King World News says it's not just retailers discounting their merchandise these days. As the housing market slumps, Lennar, the second largest U.S. home builder, is offering as many as 5,000 completed and partially built homes in the U.S. Southeast and Southwest for sale to private equity investors as rental properties. And Lennar's home averaged, and this was according to Bloomberg, by the way, And Lennar's home average, they're huge, they're big. A selling price, average selling price of $491,000 in the company's third quarter, putting a value on the house offered to investors at about $2.5 billion. Although private equity investors could be expected to negotiate even more hefty discounts for volume purchases. And with interest rates rising, many buyers who had contracted for homes being built have literally just walked away from their agreements after seeing that their projected monthly payments increased by hundreds of dollars. So builders now are dumping these unsold inventories to clear their costs and build up cash stores to buy more land to build on when the market actually stabilizes. And in some cases, builders are offering entire subdivisions for sale to investors and landlords. And this is according to SVN International, a real estate services firm. And Lennar itself plans to establish a subsidiary that will own rental houses. And Allianz Real Estate and Center Bridge Partners now have committed $1.25 billion in equity to the venture, is what Bloomberg is reporting. So single-family home landlords are still buying, but they're now primarily waiting for interest rate and market conditions to settle. They're going to wait a while.
Yeah.
They're going to wait a while. So private equity investors began slipping into the housing market in the middle teens after the Great Recession faded and the U.S. housing shortage began to be apparent. And the surge in the housing demand during COVID war and the advent of remote work actually made rental properties a brand new profit center for money buyers. So private equity firms and other institutional investors now are a permanent major presence in the U.S. housing industry. And investors are going to continue to rotate their attention among metro areas as specific locals gains or lose popularity by adjusting rental rates to maximize their profits, but not pushing them to the point at which significant numbers of tenants actually move out. So, according to Black Knight, some 250,000 Americans right now who took out a mortgage to buy a house in 2022 when prices were at their peak are now literally swimming underwater, which signals that the current price of the home is worth less than the loan that they took out on it.
Wow,
Jeez,
crazy.
How do they make their payments?
Well, they're going to have to make their payments or default.
I mean, this is exactly what happened in 2008.
I mean, with I guess the private equity side getting involved and big investors like Allianz, getting involved. Really, if you're a well-known company like Lennar, they're just really going to bleed you out.
Yeah.
Try to pick up,
They're going to pick things up for pennies on the dollar is what they're going to do.
I mean, that's the first thing I would do. If I had that kind of money like Allianz or a private equity firm, and they know where we're headed and they know that things are not going to get better before they get worse, they're just going to bleed them out.
And these people that are underwater on their mortgages, because they bought this property at such a deal, and now their payments it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's like not looking good.
I mean, most of these payments, were they fixed payments or balloon payments?
No. Well, let's see. It doesn't really talk about. It just says the new force in U.S. housing will continue to shut out hundreds of thousands of families that could have claimed a portion of the American dream and built equity by owning homes of their own. And with the higher mortgage rates and the highest mortgage rate in decades, combined with already steep home prices and medium household incomes at around $73,000 per year, most Americans will continue to be locked out of the housing market.
Gotcha. So, it doesn't say
that's why they're doing the rentals, right? Yeah. Because they cannot afford to buy a home, so they have to rent.
Yeah.
So this is why I have a client now. She's got $40 million in her portfolio, and the most of it's made up of rental properties. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can imagine though. She probably bought way back when.
She just bought the other day.
Oh,
She bought a
the other
couple
day.
of weeks ago.
Wow.
She's down in Cocoa Beach, and she found a property, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, needs some fixing up.
Yeah.
But she bought it for $140,000. She'll put another $50,000 in it and flip it.
Yeah.
Is what she'll
Smart
do.
lady.
Yeah, totally. This is why she's got a $40 million portfolio, right? It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, if you know what
I
you're
love
doing.
to flip.
Yeah.
Where I live, I have connections with the president of the association, who happens to be a broker.
Look at you. You get white glove treatment.
He's a broker, and money talks when you start dealing with things like that, right? Whoever can bid the lowest price, the highest price on the lowest price is going to win.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is now. And look, I'm telling you, 2023 is going to be bad.
Yeah.
And we're just weeks away now from
Christmas
Christmas even, and then we go into the new year, and then that's when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, but you have to look at the reasons why 2023 is going to be a bad year. I mean, these rate increases, they don't hit the economy, they don't hit the market instantly, right?
Right.
These things lag. They take a little bit of time, and then when they do hit, they hit extremely hard. So there's going to be a crucial response to the recession that we're about to be in, and that crucial response is, one thing. Can the Fed pivot in time for a soft landing? I think not. I think we're going to get decimated. The economy is going to go to shit. It's not going to look good. 2023, even BlackRock's saying it. BlackRock's saying 2023 is going to be the worst.
Yeah, I saw that. BlackRock is saying the same thing. No good, no good, no good, no good. They're right.
Yeah.
They're absolutely right. Rob, there's some news about this Ukrainian president, Zelensky's wife. Have you heard about this?
What's going on?
Oh, so she goes to Paris, and, they're begging for money and goods, right? And then what she does, it's allegedly reported that she goes on a $40,000 shopping spree.
No.
Yeah. So Ukraine is in this horrible war with Russia right now at the moment, and it's causing lives and destroying the country. And this country was in the middle of a war between Germany and Russia during World War II, then was under Soviet control until the early 1990s when the Iron Curtain fell. Well, the country has been the focus of many political actors and allegations of corruption for a lot of years, for many, many years. And George Soros, Hillary Clinton, the list goes on and on. They all had connections to Ukraine for years, right? Including Hunter Biden and the Bidens, right? So Joe Biden's son reportedly made millions after being placed on the board of Burisma, an oil company and gas company, even though he had no skill set in the field, just like he has no skill set in art. I couldn't believe what I saw the other day. It's like 250,000. Go to kindergartners and you see them do hand printing just like what you put on the wall. Anyway, earlier this year, we know that Russia invaded Ukraine, and the international community now has sent billions to Ukraine to stall the Russian effort, right? And now the country now says it needs more money and goods to make it through the winter. In fact, look, we're supposedly, reportedly sending them Patriot missiles. And now
valued at $6 million a pop.
Yeah, and now Russia, the Kremlin, is saying, no, you send those missiles, that's an act of war against us. We will retaliate. So yesterday in Paris, it's reported that Ukraine had obtained another $1.1 billion in emergency to help the country over the winter months. And Ukraine's Western allies pledged an additional 1 billion euros in emergency winter aid on Tuesday, responding to pleas from President Zelensky to help the country withstand Russia's onslaught against its energy grid. And around 70 countries and international organizations gathered in Paris for a meeting aimed at enabling Ukrainians to get through this winter, said French President Emmanuel Macron. In a video message, Zelensky said Ukraine needs assistance worth around 800 million euros in the short term for its battered energy sector. And of course, it is a very high amount, but the cost is less than the cost of a potential blackout, Zelensky told the conference in a web link. And this was another big win for Ukraine because billions of dollars of aid have flown to the Ukrainians since Russia invaded the smaller country under Biden's watch. And Ukraine's President Zelensky's wife joined Ukrainians asking for money in Paris these past few days. And now it's being reported that she took some time actually off yesterday to go on a quick shopping spree. Wow, I wish I could spend money on a quick shopping spree for herself while in the city. And this is coming from the conservative treehouse. And Olena Zelensky, wife of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, they say, traveled to Paris, France for a 3-day visit December 12th through the 14th, as reported by Le Monde. Members of the Ukrainian government will also come, including Ukraine Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal and several other ministers in charge of reconstruction, including Eula, Saventia, economy. I can't even say all these names. And the German blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, however, I can't say these. Blah, 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 blah. I can't say all these freaking names. But anyway, because I don't speak Russian. I don't speak Ukraine. But anyway, if the reporting is accurate, the spending spree comes at a bad time as Miss Zelensky's husband, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, is simultaneously asking the European Union to provide more financial support for the embattled country. Additionally, the Biden administration now is pushing the Congress to pass another $38 billion spending package for Ukraine to bring the total spent well over $100 billion. So this doesn't give a very good impression to the rest of Europe, which is wondering how are they going to make it through the winter after Russia cut off its gas and oil to their continent. But this girl, Miss Zelensky, she has to have her clothes. She's spending $40,000 on a shopping spree. That's a lot of money to be spending on a shopping spree. But anyway, this is just news coming from the Gateway Pundit, and I just want to share it if you didn't know this already. It just goes on and on and on and on. Give us a call, 800-753-8534. That's our call center, 323-380-5485. Like us, rumble us. I see a lot of rumbles coming through.
They like us on Rumble.
Yeah, Romeo's ready to go too. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Be safe. Rod, do you want to say anything?
Just